When I just started sharing, that felt really good. Realized I had come to a space where I could be vulnerable. I could be myself. People would accept me. Nobody has ever judged me in this group. I just see a welcoming environment, and I see a group of men that are just wanting to take their life to the next level.
What is going on, Reboot team? I am here with somebody very special who is coming to us straight from the Reboot Implementation Group. I am here with my brother in the struggle, Ishmael. How you doing today, sir?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing great. Appreciate you making the time, taking the time. We were chatting a little bit about your fighting, plenty of, MMA, combat artists in the world and plenty who deal with an out of control behavior. So lots to relate to. But before we get into that world, because I'm really curious as to how rebooting has affected that aspect of you, let's dive into how you first discovered the group. Like what happened? Like what led you to the group?
If we go way back, I learned about, how I guess and addiction was a problem in my life when I came across something called NoFap on
Mm,
Reddit. I saw that. I was like, what is this thing? I start digging into it, start getting preliminary knowledge on why looking at certain images and why objectifying women could start to have negative impacts on your brain. You start to think differently. You lose focus, you lose energy, all these kind of things, right? So, and this is when I was in late high school,
mm.
right? And then since then, I did my own kind of research, looking at other organizations that spoke on this, and lo and behold, I found JK on YouTube, right? So this is, I guess, going back 2017 when I started watching his videos, and I watched his videos for a long time throughout university. Many times I had slips, and he was like my big brother that I would go to. It's like, let's listen to JK. Hopefully he could say something to motivate me, to make me feel a little bit better, that I'm not a terrible person, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So obviously the videos on YouTube are a way to at least start thinking about the problem and get you curious, right? And then I learned about the podcast, and then eventually, as I was, I guess, growing older and maturing, I was getting fed up with my behavior. I was realizing that this was impacting my life, my sense of manhood, my identity, my energy. Like every time I would slip or and I would go out and see people, I felt this enormous sense of shame. Like I was walking around naked and everyone could see me, and
Mhm.
like who I am. It's like, so I didn't like that. And eventually I found there was a Facebook group, the free Facebook group, and I joined that. That was March of 2023. I was in that group until December of 2023. And then I was speaking to one of the Reboot coaches, and he was like, hey, man, you've been in this group for such a long time, and I've seen your growth here. And he's like, but I feel like you could take it to the next level, and you could implement and get to your goal of being free in the mind and the soul much quicker if you join the group, where you can get hands-on, support from the team, the reboot team, the folks with you that are taking that leap and taking it seriously. You've got so many coaches. And when we had that call back in late November, early December, it just clicked. I sat on it for like 24 hours. I wanted to really think this through. I'm like, should I make this investment? Should I not? Like anything, big decisions, I usually, do that. And it was the right thing to do for me. I knew like this was the time. Or else if I kept believing that I could just do it on my own, and who knows how many years would have gone by, and how many scars I would have had. So I didn't want that. I wanted to deal with this while I'd like to think I'm still young and I still got plenty of life in me. And it's better to deal with the problem earlier rather than later. So long story short, that's how I got to Reboot. But it's been many years in the making to get here, I think.
Yeah, man, so much to dive into. Holy moly. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you said that, you really had to sit and think about whether or not you wanted to make this kind of investment. Because let's be real, it is an investment. I mean, I
Yep.
tell guys that are just coming in all the time, it's a financial investment for sure. It's an emotional investment. It's a time investment.
Hmm.
But I mean, I can say for myself, because I was in your same exact shoes almost to a T, which is kind of crazy. But like when it came time for me to make a choice, I look back now and knowing what I know now, that was the single greatest investment I have ever made on myself. You know. So,
I hope to say the same thing. So far, I'm feeling it, but I hope to say the same thing in 2 years' time. You
well, let's
know?
talk about what you're feeling, man. Let's talk about you feeling
Yeah.
it. So, we'll get into where you're at currently because I love the way you share. And this guy, if you're listening or watching, he has been putting in the work. He's a passionate man, and we're gonna dive into what that actually looks like. But as far as you finally joining the group, you finally made that decision. You finally took that leap of faith. What was it like when you first joined the group? When you first joined?
When I first joined, I was excited. I was a little bit scared because I didn't know what was going to be in the group. I didn't know to what level I was going to be implementing. Obviously, it's called the implementation group. And, I just had all these thoughts like how it was going to be. And I just kind of told myself, let's just see what's going on here. Let's see let's see what the fast start guide is giving, and take one step at a time. Listen, and watch what others are doing and see how others are sharing, right? And I just wanted to get a sense of the group, and very quickly I was welcomed. Very quickly I did my intro video. I did the first couple of modules. I got my rubber band. Not I don't have it on right now, but I had my rubber band on, took pictures, shared with the group, and I just started sharing. That felt really good, right?
Mm,
Because I realized I had come to a space where I could be vulnerable. I could be myself. People would accept me. Nobody has ever judged me in this group. There's times where you need to have a hard conversation, right? Sometimes you need to unlearn something where you were thinking this was a certain way that it should be, and a coach shows you no, that's not the right way, and they walk you through it, right? So you have to sit with that, and sometimes it could be hard love, and that's okay. I'm all for that,
yeah.
right? Snaps you into it, I guess. But yeah, when I joined December, I did my intro video and I started engaging the group. Everyone's just been welcoming me, and it's been a great atmosphere. Every time I join a group call, ask questions, it's answered. We go into details. People, like the rest of the brothers, they comment on it too. They're like, "Oh, you know what? I like that. I didn't think of that." And same goes for me. Sometimes I may not ask a question in a group chat, but it doesn't mean that I'm not listening to what everyone else is asking, because it could apply to me. Many of times it applies to me, and maybe it's not at that moment, but later on, I'm like, oh, you know what? Somebody asked that question a little while ago. Let me go back to that video, that
Mhm.
recording. You know,
I
so
think that's
just so
so
much knowledge.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for sharing that because there is that accountability. There
Mm,
is tough love sometimes. It's not a matter
yeah.
of like, making you feel ostracized or making you feel, silly for asking a question. It's like we encourage brothers to ask questions at all.
Hmm.
And yeah, we might push you, but iron sharpens iron, right? Like we're here
Hmm.
to hold each other accountable. But I completely can relate to a brother out there who might have felt timid or maybe even shameful to just
Mm.
open up about, hey, this is what I'm thinking about, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm feeling, this and that. And particularly because of what guys like us have dealt with unhealthily, whether it be or irresponsibility with the internet, right? Whatever it might be, or other compulsive behaviors that are risky, they are not easy things to talk about. I mean, let's just be
No,
real, you know?
no.
And anytime we may have brought it up in the past to somebody in our immediate circle, there might have been a response that was a lot of shame,
Hmm. Hmm.
misunderstanding and guilt tripping. And due
Hmm.
to that kind of muscle memory, we can kind of like maybe hide off in the shadows. But I love how you made sure to emphasize more than once you were never once judged. And I
No.
think that's so beautiful to hear, man, for real.
Yeah.
And so important for anybody who might be on the fence of, oh, should I join this group? No one's gonna get me, no one's gonna understand me. What would
Hmm.
I have plenty of thoughts to say, but what would you say to somebody like that?
I mean, I would say listen to my testimonial, listen to the brothers that have been in this group for many months. This is my experience. And I haven't felt that way. I've asked questions, I've listened to what the responses that other brothers are getting from members on the team, from coaches. I don't see it. I just see a welcoming environment, and I see a group of men that are just wanting to take their life to the next level. They're high performers, that we're productive. We want to unlock parts of ourselves. And to do that, you have to be willing to step in the fire. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be in the fire. It's okay to get, to have a concept or a thought you thought was right for a long time, and have it kind of broken apart, you know, one piece at a time, just to make you understand, hey, there's a different view. Let's go up and look at it from a bird's eye view, and maybe you'll understand, right? Because you guys are experts. You guys have been doing this for a long time. You guys have helped hundreds of men reboot.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, I trust you when I put in that investment. It's a trust, and my trust hasn't been broken, right? And I've been in this group for the last 8 months now, right? So I'll just say to anyone on the fence, like, try it, listen to what everyone else has been saying. I don't feel that way. Give it a shot. If you don't like it, you can go out if you want to.
I mean, I feel really, really encouraged just to know that you've gotten that takeaway. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
anybody who may be out there listening or watching, we won't be spoon feeding you, but you will
yeah,
be. You will
yeah,
be.
yeah.
But let's talk more about you. Now, all of that is to say that's the what's, that's the big headline.
Hmm.
Now let's go into the details as far as the how goes, right? What types of tools have you learned while being in the group thus far?
Oh man, so many tools. We'll start with the morning routine. That's something that I implemented through the group. I learned that that's a way that you can start to anchor your day. And morning routine can look different for different brothers, right? But for me, it's, establishing a meditative routine, doing your feelings exercise. I read scripture, I'll pray. I just get myself in an aware state that I've got the next, rest of the day to to do the best that I can, right? And starting like that, it has made my productivity a lot better on various fronts. I used to start my day just going on my phone and, just making a coffee, and it's a lazy way to start. You're getting bombarded by worries and the world's, views. As the morning routine starts inside. You look inward, and then you move out into the world, right? So that's one. Dialoguing, huge win, or a huge, tool for me that I learned. I had known about dialoguing before joining the group, but I didn't know it to the extent that's being taught. And there's a book that we read, and you'll be introduced to it when you join the group. But that book took me to the next level. I was dialoguing, but I didn't realize that there's sub personalities. I just thought I was talking to one, like, weak self. I don't know. Or sometimes when I was much younger, I used to call it the devil. I'm talking to the devil. He's whispering in my mind, like, no, 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 I can't sin, I can't sin. But it's more than that. It's a sub personality, or a series of sub personalities that you have to learn to speak to with
Mm,
compassion, and that took time for me. I used to always beat my sub personality down and tried to make him shut up, but that's not the right way. But anyways, that was another tool. There's so many tools. The rubber band. There's the rational, irrational exercise. These kind of things. But I'm not going to give it all away. I want you guys to join, and there's all these nice names to it, but you got to sit down and do the work.
mm.
It's not, the work's not going to do it for you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. Plenty of tools, and I'm glad that you're continuing to use them. And I love what you said, that the morning routine that you said starts internally. And I think that's super, super
Mm.
beautiful. And I think that's really, really impactful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm curious as to how your experience has been like with the coaching calls whenever you've gotten the chance to attend.
Oh man, amazing. The three main coach calls that I personally attend just because of my schedule are some with JK, some with Coach Milan, some with Dr. Eastman. Each coach has a specific expertise, right? So you go in with geared questions, and anytime asked a question in that group, it's always received. They always give a nice detailed response. Sometimes if my question is not clear while we're on that live call, at least for some of the calls, they ask to expand on it. So I can give a little bit more meat, and then they can get, oh, okay, that's what you were getting at with that question. And then they were able to give me a better, more detailed response for me to understand. And, it's great having these coaches, because I know, looking at some of the old content in the group, they weren't always there. The coaches are an introduction. This is what JK is added to the group, because he always says, he's like, I wish I had this when I was rebooting.
Woo! Yep.
So I'm grateful to come at a time where we've got experts here. And I try to attend whenever my schedule allows me. For my time zone, it's like when I'm working, but they're recorded. So you can send a question, you can listen to it after work or whenever you have free time. And it's great. Your question will be answered. You can listen to other brothers, the engagement there. And sometimes what I really like personally is not when it's just the question that's answered, but it diverges into a separate kind of conversation, a bigger conversation. And it's just, some stories that are shared. And those resonate with me. Those stick in my brain longer, I think. It's just not just the question. There's more to it. It's more personal, I guess. So I like it. I really like the coaching calls.
That's really, really great, man. A question I love to ask guys, especially passionate guys like yourself. I like to kind of like talk a little bit about like what they're doing when they're not in the reboot group. And I know that you're a fighter. And I'm
Mm.
curious as to, what you may have learned, experienced, and gone through and applied. I'm curious as to how it's maybe impacted your focus or maybe just impacted like how you approach the things that you actually want to invest more in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, big time. This is more than just a porn group. We talk about finances, we talk about mindset, we talk about, to an extent, spirituality, and we get into those kind of things. And for me, I've been able to have that awareness, build on awareness, and understand emotions a little bit better. And I used to run away from my emotions all the time. You know, I used to think, oh, men shouldn't feel these kind of things, and you're maybe less of a man, or you're a wuss for thinking that way. Like just suck it up. That was kind of my mindset. And when we I learned, hey, like, we are emotional beings. It's okay to feel these things. It's okay to dive into them and understand where they're coming from. And you want to be working with your mind, right? So there's other areas in my life and at work, at the gym, where there's voices in my head, you could say my subpersonalities, that would have in the past slowed me down, or made me stop, or made me, I don't know, made me question myself. But now, with an awareness that I'm gaining, I'm able to sit down and feel those things, you know and it's been helping me take it to the next level. Like, I'm able to have more confidence at work, even if there's times where things are challenging, there's struggle, whatever it's going on. Like, life is that way. I'm able to come out of that, just look inward, and try to understand other people's perspectives, where I feel like maybe that subpersonality is trying to tell me something. I'll listen, and I'll try to talk back in a compassionate way. And that's been allowing me to take my other areas of my life to the next level. And I can definitely say that with work and MMA, it's been working really well. I'm able to do more, be more.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so, so great. Seriously. So,
Yeah.
having experienced all of that thus far, and as long as you continue to implement and apply what you learn, it's only going to progress from there. And I'm really excited to see the rest of your progress, man. But kind of going back to that person who might be listening or watching to this that might be on the proverbial fence, right? Somebody who, for a time, for a season, for maybe most of their life, right? They might have suffered in silence, not really
Mm,
knowing where to turn and just dealing with an out of control behavior.
mm,
Is there anything in particular, again, having learned what you've learned and experienced what you have thus far, to that specific type of brother, right?
mm.
What words would you like to share with a person like that?
I would just say, like, how long are you willing to do this? You know, deep down that this is impacting your life. You know deep down that it's holding you back from your true potential. You have a choice to make. You've got one life, you've got a finite amount of time. Do you want to go to your grave and have regret? I'm sorry to put it in this harsh way, but that's the reality. And I I can't live with myself that way. I refuse to not deal with this problem and just keep going and running away from my feelings, running away from all these kind of things, using as my coping strategy. There's healthier ways to deal with them. If you want, again, I'm in the reboot stage. I'm not there yet. I can see the finish line, and we're making our way. I'm not rebooting forever. There's no such thing as rebooting forever. Eventually, I'm gonna look back at this and say, yeah, this was a season of my life where I made a drastic change for the better, and now I'm free. But like, I'd say right now I feel shackled, and I want to unlock all parts of me, and I want to take my life to the next level and have no regrets. When I pass it, I want to have regrets. And this was for a long time, many years. I would say since high school till now, it's been like 10 years, like that it's been a monkey on my back. And I want to get him off my back.
Yeah.
I want to be free.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I appreciate you just kind of going there and just keeping it raw and real. And a lot of times, brothers will say, like, hey, like, sometimes we'll find a mode of frustration, and maybe you can relate, where it's like, oh man,
Mm,
I feel like I should be further along in my life by now, or should be
mm,
further
mm, mm,
along in my reboot by now. I've
mm,
tried and tried to fail. And the thing about this program, it's that just joining is
mm.
already a step in the right direction, which sounds so cliche, but you wouldn't be we wouldn't be having this conversation right now that despite whatever shackles you feel you still need to shake off, you
Mm.
know, if there wasn't a small part of you that believes that you have everything you need right now to make that drastic amount of changes, like I said, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You wouldn't be
That's
in,
true.
and if anybody's listening or watching and that little voice starts perking up like, hey man, you can do this too. You can do this too. I mean, both of us in this conversation are living proof of the fact that listening to that little voice, which is a part of all of us, by the way,
Hmm. Hmm.
will impact you in a positive way. So, with
Yeah.
all that being said, my man, would you then, to that same brother, recommend this program?
Oh, 100%, without a doubt. I would say it'll be, I can tell you right now, it's so far the best decision I've made. I've seen so much growth in the short time that I've been in this group, and I was in the free group as well, and I saw growth there, right? But again, it's levels. You want to get to your destination as quickly as possible. And this group is a roadmap. Without it, like I guess there's different organizations, there's different schools of thought. You can find your freedom. This is not the one and only way to find this, and I hope you find that freedom for you, right? But you got to deal with it, and I say it's worked for me. It's been working for me so far.
Thank you so much, Ismail. For all the brothers listening, take in these words from a brother who has been in your shoes and is finally in those shoes, walking in a healthier, lighter direction. Ishmael, all the continued success to you. Thank you so much for sharing about your experience.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.